Jai Hind everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel which is Explore Yourselves, Banking and General Knowledge etc. Jai Hind. Historical events of 27th May, a journey through time of 27th May 2025, Tuesday. Today's, that is 27th May, highlight in history. 1644, Manchu regent Dorgon defeats rebel leader Li Jicheng of the Song dynasty at the Battle of Sanhai Pass, allowing the Manchus to enter and conquer the capital city of Beijing. 1703, Tsar Peter the Great founds the city of St. Petersburg. 1798, the Pitt Tierney duel takes place on Putney Heath outside London, a bloodless duel between the Prime Minister of Great Britain William Pitt the Younger and his political opponent George Tierney. 1798, the Battle of Oulart Hill takes place in Wexford, Ireland. Irish rebel leaders defeat and kill a detachment of militia. 1799, War of the Second Coalition. Austrian forces defeats the French at Winterthur, Switzerland. 1813, War of 1812. In Canada, American forces capture Fort George. 1860, Giuseppe Garibaldi begins the siege of Palermo, part of the wars of Italian unification. 1863, American Civil War. The first Union infantry assault of the siege of Port Hudson occurs. 1874, the first group of Deutschland trekkers under the leadership of Gart Alberts leaves Pretoria. 1883, Alexander III is crowned Tsar of Russia. 1896, the F4 strength St. Louis East St. Louis tornado hits in St. Louis, Missouri and East St. Louis, Illinois, killing at least 255 people and causing over $10 million in damage. 1905, Russo-Japanese War. The Battle of Tsushima begins. 1915, HMS Princess Irene explodes and sinks off Sheerness, Kent, with the loss of 352 lives. 1917, Pope Benedict XV promulgates the 1917 Code of Canon Law, the first comprehensive codification of Catholic canon law in the legal history of the Catholic Church. 1919, the NC-4 aircraft arrives in Lisbon after completing the first transatlantic flight. 1927, the Ford Motor Company ceases manufacture of the Ford Model T and begins to retool plans to make the Ford Model A. 1930, the 1046 feet 319 meter Chrysler Building in New York City, the tallest man-made structure at the time, opens to the public. 1933, New Deal. The US Federal Securities Act is signed into law, requiring the registration of securities with the Federal Trade Commission. 1935, New Deal. The Supreme Court of the United States declares the National Industrial Recovery Act to be unconstitutional in ALA Skister Poultry Corporation versus United States 295 US 495. 1937, in California, the Golden Gate Bridge opens to pedestrian traffic, creating a vital link between San Francisco and Marin County, California. 1940, World War II. In the Lee Paradise massacre, 99 soldiers from a Royal Norfolk Regiment unit are shot after surrendering to German troops to survive. 1941, World War II. US President Franklin D. Roosevelt proclaims an unlimited national emergency. 1941. World War II. The German battleship Bismarck is sunk in the North Atlantic, killing almost 2,100 men. 1942. World War II. In Operation Anthropoid, Reinhard Heydrich is fatally wounded in Prague. He dies of his injuries 8 days later. 1950. The Linnanmäki amusement park is opened for the first time in Helsinki. 1958. First flight of the McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II. 1960. In Turkey, a military coup removes President Celal Bayar and the rest of the democratic government from office. 1962. The Centralia mine fire is ignited in the town's landfill above a coal mine. 1965. Vietnam War. American warships begin the first bombardment of the National Liberation Front targets within South Vietnam. 1967. Australians vote in favour of a constitutional referendum granting the Australian government the power to make laws to benefit indigenous Australians and to count them in the national census. 1967. The US Navy aircraft carrier USS John F. Kennedy is launched by Jacqueline Kennedy and her daughter Caroline. 1971. The Dahleru train disaster, the Ost railway accident in West Germany, kills 46 people and injures 25 near Wuppertal. 1971. Pakistani forces massacre over 200 civilians, mostly Bengali Hindus, in the Bagbati massacre. 1975. Devil's Bridge coach crash near Grassington in North Yorkshire, England, kills 33, the highest ever death toll in a road accident in the United Kingdom. 1977. A plane crash at Jose Marti International Airport in Havana, Cuba, kills 67. 1980. The Gwangju massacre. Airborne and many army troops of South Korea retake the city of Gwangju from civil militias, killing at least 207 and possibly many more. 1984. The Danube Black Sea Canal is opened in a ceremony attended by the Seuskas. It had been under construction since the 1950s. 1988. Somaliland War of Independence. The Somali National Movement launches a major offensive against Somali government forces in Hargeisa and Burao, then the second and third largest cities of Somalia. 1996. First Chechen War. Russian President Boris Yeltsin meets with Chechen rebels for the first time and negotiates a ceasefire. 1997. The 1997 Central Texas tornado outbreak occurs, spawning multiple tornadoes in Central Texas, including the F5 that killed 27 in Jarrell. 1998. Oklahoma City bombing. Michael Fortier is sentenced to 12 years in prison and fined $2 lakh for failing to warn authorities about the terrorist plot. 1999. Space Shuttle Discovery is launched on STS-96, the first shuttle mission to dock with the International Space Station. 2001. Members of Abu Sayyaf, an Islamist separatist group, seized 20 hostages from an affluent Iceland resort on Palawan in the Philippines. The hostage crisis would not be resolved until June 2002. 2006. The 6.4 megawatt Yogyakarta earthquake shakes central Java with an MSK intensity of 8, damaging, leaving more than 5,700 dead and 37,000 injured. 2016. Barack Obama is the first president of the United States to visit Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park and meet Hibakusha. 2017. Andrew Scheer takes over after Rona Ambrose as the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. 2018. Maryland flood event. A flood occurs throughout the Patapsco Valley, causing one death, destroying the entire first floors of buildings on Main Street in Ellicott City and causing cars to overturn. Thank you very much for your patience. Request for like, subscribe and share.